21.7% turnout in the primaries. 21.7% turnout in the primaries. Now that's across both parties and whatever else, but that's the engagement in our practice. So Kimmy's going to be here. She's coming from another event. She's going to be here from TPUSA later after the panel. She's going to talk for just a couple of minutes about chasing the vote and how important their efforts are to get the vote out. We really want to focus on getting the vote out. Can you imagine if we have, and traditionally midterms struggle for engagement, right? But if we have 21.7% or 25% of eligible Democrat voters vote in the next election, and we manage to go 35% Republican voters and gathered up independents because we have good ideas that make sense. And we're standing for policy things that make sense for people. I mean, question 6 removes the licensing requirement for medical professionals in the abortion industry in Nevada. Removes the licensing requirements. This is not healthcare, ladies and gentlemen. Removes them. I mean, I don't know, it's overwhelming. So it is one of those kind of things, and honestly, if we just get the vote out, we win. We win. It passed last time because it was poorly written and people lied about what it was. And there wasn't good publicity about what it was. We've done a better job now about that, and we're working harder at it right now around that. But key is us getting the vote out. And we were just talking here at this table, and I'm going to have you guys come up in just a second. We were just talking here at this table about the idea of gathering up, Denise and I were talking about this, the idea of gathering up the right pebbles. And you guys in this room are pebbles. We can have 50 people here, we can have 100 people here, we can have 25 people here. But if all of us become pebbles, and the ripples that go out from us in our conversations, which are filled with grace, kindness, and the refusal to use crappy tactics because we're people of integrity. Our identity determines our function and how we operate. Dead silence in the room. Our identity, who we are, determines. We can do you know what happens in our country? We can legislate morality for the next 4 years, 2 years, 6 years. And when the tide turns back, it goes back. I'm not, I will go, but legislating morality has never been a good idea. We live in a free country. But if we change hearts, that's what transforms. If we change hearts, we have great conversations. We begin to be who we are. Not be afraid to talk about who we are, kindly. And build the relationship that sustains those conversations. Then out of that space, we can have transformative things happen. Then hearts change, and other people begin to live who they are. And those hearts vote. Right? So we're not just trying to bludgeon one another every 2 to 4 years. We're trying to invite one another into better ideas. And there's other things as well. But anyway, that was totally unplanned. All right. So What I'm going to do is have you guys go ahead and come up here. Now, I moved the chairs closer together so it'd be more awkward. You like each other. Yeah, that's nice. These guys actually, I was checking to see if they would actually talk to one another. I know they're not running against each other. You know what's nice is to be on the same team. Right? Thank you. I love it. All right. This is my cheat sheet. I actually have questions. And just so all of you know, a couple of ground rules for our panel here. And normally I would go through a whole long introduction of these, but we're going to have them do the introduction part of it. They're going to do it much better. And our goal here in this space is for you to have face time and get to know people. What they think, why they think what they think, around some basic ideas. All right, so that's what we're creating the space for. We are not after, there's plenty of places for gotchas. We're not after gotchas. I'm after substance, and I want you to know these people who are up here. They're eminently qualified to be up here, and we're grateful that they have the courage to run. Because, running is not for the faint of heart these days, right? So, okay guys, are you ready? You do have to turn those microphones on. So the little bottom switch, you're gonna pop that up? All right. Testing. Hello. All right.
Check. That's what you want.
That's right. Check.
Right, yeah. You didn't know, but that was a request. All right. So guys, I have a few questions here, and by the way, I sent them these questions so they don't get freaked out. So, and partially because I want them to be prepared for an answer. I don't want them to shoot from the hip and get stuck on something right here. So we did send the questions to them ahead of time, and if you want, we're gonna have 10 or 15 minutes of Q&A available at the end, and I hope that you will use that and do that, and we'll make sure that you have a chance to ask them whatever at that point. Not gotcha. All right, good. So guys, I want to, Joe, let's start with you for this.
Okay.
Here, because, right to left.
Okay.
Just that simple. Okay, here we go. So Joe, if you would, and we're gonna have each of you do this, if you would take 2 to 3 minutes and just give us some background on yourself, introduce yourself, give us some background on you, and just fill us in on why you decided, lead up to the point where you say, why you decided that politics was the thing you wanted to do, because it's not the thing most people get up in the morning and go, you know what, I wanna.
That's true. Well, again, my name's Joe Ludwig. I'm running in Assembly District 29, Henderson. Really, I'd say it came from a young age. My wife likes to say I was born Republican. When I was 6, actually technically 5, it was about a month before my birthday, one of the first political things I remember watching was the 1976 Republican Convention in Kansas City. I was just kind of mesmerized by it all. I remember telling my mom at age 6, well, you don't vote for Jimmy Carter, vote for President Ford. I just kind of think it went from there. When Reagan was elected, people, in junior high and high school, people knew I was a Republican. I've been active since my college days. My first college days in community college in California in the early 90s. Was around for the 94 Republican Revolution. When we finally took back the House after 40 years. And just have gone from there. Been active in every level, college Republicans, young Republicans. One of these days they're going to finally figure out, hey, why don't we create an organization called Old Republicans? But just been active, involved, just always been fascinated by it. My bachelor's degree, I later went back as an adult after I got married, right before I turned 40. I got my bachelor's in political science, my master's in public administration. Have always just been fascinated by the realm and seeing, wanting to implement good government, a bit of a history buff. So that's where I think the fascination came from. I'm married, a little more background about myself. I'm married. My wife and I will be celebrating our 20th anniversary in October. We've been up here, next Wednesday is our 9th anniversary as Nevadans. And we moved up here because A, California became too crazy, but B, practical reason, my mom was priced out of her senior living complex. And all of the available places were in neighborhoods where you would not want your mom living. Think worse than Boulder Highway. So we decided to move up here for the last few years of her life, and we love it. My wife is a board-certified massage therapist at the Bellagio. I work for a company called Burke Williams. And another thing about how crazy California is, even though all of our locations are in California, our department is here in Henderson. That should tell you how crazy even companies in California are in outsourcing departments of theirs to California, from California to Nevada. So look forward to more of the questions, and I'll stop bloviating, one of my favorite political terms. So let Denise and Nan talk.
Are we gonna go in a row?
You may go in a row, Denise.
Okay, I do want to say though that we did get these questions in advance, but we got them this afternoon. So
Yeah, I don't want to make it too easy.
you do want to make it too easy, but I'm probably just going to ramble a little bit. Let's see. I'm an Air Force brat. I grew up living all over. I ended up in Texas, in Austin, hippie town, Austin, and I went to the University of Texas. And my first thought about politics was like, ugh, this is disgusting, because Austin is the capital, and I was a cocktail waitress in this band when we still had phones at every table had a phone, political hangout, and I just watched all these drunk people make all these deals, and I'm like, this is not for me. So then I went into the film business. I was in commercials, worked in television commercials. Actually, I started in features, and I had the same sort of reaction that it was just too sleazy. So then I went into commercials, and I'm like, well, commercials are they're all business. We act like a business, and it was great. But I would say that by the time I left LA, people had changed in politics. And when I said I voted for George Bush, people were like, ugh. It was just really, it was very awful. And then we moved here. I had my son late, so I snuck in one son, but actually it has shaped me for being an older person with a lot of experience. Like I had a 20-year career, I had a great career in the film business, and I learned a lot. It informed me for what I'm doing, because it's a lot with small business. But I was an older mom raising a young son in this environment, so I watched the whole thing. And I decided when my son was little that I was gonna take, my husband's a Republican too, and I thought, well, I'm gonna be the moderate example, because my mother raised me to be very charitable and very giving, and so I'm gonna be the one that's softer. And I would always like counter my son from his tougher instincts, right? But then little by little, he was very smart, and he would like tell me things that he learned in school, and I really quit being able to be the person in the middle. Like what he was learning was so crazy that it was just time to take a stand and go right with him. And then since I had a young son, I started researching all that Title IX stuff, which now we're thinking about it because of men and women's sports. But back then it was like boys getting kicked out of school from accusations that they could never answer, like they weren't allowed to respond to. And so I really was thinking about what is happening to the boys in America. Then Obama was in office, and I became obsessed basically with all politics, and I had his number from day one. So yeah, I could see the coming of Marxism, and you could see the coming of all this SEL and all this really shocking stuff. We weren't teaching kids to be individuals anymore. My son was learning to be a collectivist. And even to one of his teachers, I was like, hey, in my day, we like really admired these wild individuals and rugged individuals. And he's like, oh, ugh. He didn't like that either. And I'm like, wow, our country has really changed. okay, I'm rambling too much, but then I became very active in politics. Let me just cut to the chase. Like you guys, I was an activist. I went to all the clubs. I worked with Turning Point Action. I was chair of the Moms Coalition. I went to AmFest every year. I put every spare second I had into getting Trump elected. I worked in the Lieutenant Governor's Office of Small Business Advocacy, where I became an advocate for getting rid of regulations. And so now I really know how things run in Nevada, so that will also set me up to. So sorry, I talked too long.
No.
There you go.
Very interesting.
Yeah, this is what we're after, right? This is good stuff.
Okay, so I'm the oldest person up here, and I'm also the biggest loser because I ran 2 years ago and I lost by 277 votes, which is 0.86%.
Wow.
0.86%, and if any of you know Pastor Andy at the church in Henderson, it's a Baptist church, I believe, he actually took a look at my data and decided that he was going to file a pro bono lawsuit, which is still going on, for the cheating that he and others could prove actually happened. There were a number of votes that came in after the election that didn't have a presidential vote, but had a vote in my district at the assembly level. Like, really? So, it almost caused me not to run again, but I'm going to back up for a minute and just tell you that losing, you can look at it one of two ways. It either sucks, and I'm pretty honest, you guys, if you haven't figured that out. That's what happens when you lose your filters. Or it makes you stronger. And the reason I decided to run is I have been coming to Vegas. My brother has lived here for over 20 years. And my daughter married a young man, my middle daughter, married a young man from Boulder City. And when she got pregnant, my youngest daughter came out here. And I am family first. Like, that is a big thing for me. But unfortunately, I was born into a family of Democratic libtards who are from Missouri, and I'm basically disowned by my family. So I became a Republican at a young age too, but for a different reason. I grew up in an era where it was a privilege to go up and lead the Pledge of Allegiance. When things happened, people banded together. And I really want my children to have that same experience sometime in their life, where we're not divisive. And I live in Lake Las Vegas. There's a lot of people who are retired there. I retired when I decided to run the first time, and I'd go visit people, and I'd be like, "You're yelling at the TV, get off your butt and do something." And then I looked at myself and said, "Get off your butt and do something." Well, I was blessed to help with a campaign of a man who ran for my seat in 2022, so I already knew the district. And first of all, my slogan, which is just who I am, it's people over politics. And first comes my family and my country and my community. I am a person of faith, and I have the world's deepest conscience. You can ask my friend Renee, who I lied to the other day, and she caught me. I just don't do that. But anyway, I'm not a person who sits back and watches what happens. I've always been an activist. I'm never afraid to step up and speak up for myself. And by trade, in addition to being a mother and a grandmother, I was in aerospace when the women of NASA were banding together, and I had no women around me in defense and munitions. And then when I finally got kicked out because women weren't welcome, I shouldn't say allowed, I went into technology. I had a great career, but this came along just at the right time. I was done with helping business owners, and I wanted to give back to my community in a way that would really make a difference. I mean, I've always done nonprofit work. I ran a nonprofit practice at Oracle, but it's different when you're out walking the streets and talking to people and looking them in the face and saying, I really do want to help you, but it's not going to be easy. So it's a humbling experience, and it's also, as Keith noted, it's a very difficult experience, but I hear when you win, it's a great reward, so.
Just to kind of top you on that, Nan, I actually come from a Chicago Italian Democrat family. My Aunt Maria and my Uncle Jack Kennedy, Maria Tornio. So yes, I have have Irish Sicilian cousins, were friends with Mayor Daley, Boss Daley. So I think, yeah, so it's, I don't know what made my aunt scratch her head more, affect us Lutheran and affect us Republican.
Forget about it. Wow, so Denise, we're going to start with you on this one. I want you to take just a few moments and tell us what you feel are the top 3, and you come with this, you know, hopefully you've heard from your constituents. I feel like I'm really enjoying what you guys did right here. I did not shut you down on purpose because I think it's so important. Would you tell us what you feel are the top 3 issues facing your soon-to-be constituents and why they're important to them?
Well, the top thing is voter integrity. That's what everybody talks about. I mean, number one thing that everyone talks about is voter integrity. And then everybody's worried about also, they're worried about the Marxists coming to town, about the color revolution taking place. So I would put that into, maybe education, I would put that into worried about the education of our youth. And then everybody's just worried about affordability, even our side, where, you know, we're using the word affordability because they gave that word to us, but it means a different thing to Republicans than it does to Democrats. So,
Yeah, I think Michelle, we had Michelle Romero speak a while back, and she talked about it. I think she used the word attainable.
like attainable housing.
Yeah, it was attainable housing is over using the language of affordable housing.
Right.
So, did I cut you off? Or
Oh, no, I didn't know if you wanted me
No,
to expound
okay.
or just do those top 3 things.
Let's go with that because we have some ground to cover here. Nan, why don't you finish, and then we'll let Joe wrap this one up.
Okay, so my district, as I said, is gerrymandered. The eastern part of Henderson is generally affluent, so it's Lake Las Vegas, past Tuscany, down Galleria to Padco. There are a couple of lower income areas there. There are some rental homes that were built for rent there. But the northern part of my district, Sunrise Manor, goes on from Frenchman Mountain and a little farther north. It actually goes all the way up to North Las Vegas and sweeps through the mountain. And so there's some really big, nice homes and nice neighborhoods. But then on the interior, there's some very awful neighborhoods where people are not safe. So safety and security, and while one of you mentioned Boulder Highway, I think you did, Joe. It goes right up to Boulder Highway as well, so there is a ton of crime. And there are street lights that don't work, and so I would say in that part of town, it is their #1 issue. But look, if we're not safe and secure in our homes, then we're not living our best life. And so everybody wants that, and crime happens everywhere. And so, if you want me to get on my high horse, I'll talk about why do we allow people to steal $1,200 in merchandise before we consider it a felony. That's ridiculous. We're creating career criminals.
You're here.
So I'm really big that it's like Maslow's hierarchy, if any of you study business, that if you don't have your safety, you can't do anything. So that's first. People are worried about education, and I have a different take on education because everybody's fighting the financial view of the world. I mean, we all don't love curriculum if we're conservative, but that's not something we're going to change at the legislative level. But my big thing is something that none of the women in my family worked till my generation, is that people are 2 income earners now. They have to do that to support their families, and they therefore use that as an excuse not to be present in their children's education. That is an absolute must. PTAs, PTOs, whatever you want to call them, we have to get out and get parents back involved. They have to find the time. It's a responsibility of being a parent. So at the legislative level, we will do that, but I'm a huge supporter of schools doing reading, writing, arithmetic, whatever I can do to help and getting parents to be active. And then the third thing is what I would call the economy. We're almost a one-trick pony still here. A lot of union jobs, and not enough different kinds of industries. I had a big manufacturing background. I will do everything I can to make this a more business-friendly state, because manufacturing companies hit the whole supply chain, the cascade of jobs that are created by that. And if we can, this is a sidebar, if we keep our people to people who actually deserve to get benefits, then we won't have to worry about attainable housing. An economy is a system, and we have to clean up all the stuff that is rooting our economy and making it difficult to be successful, whatever that means for you in this state. So I want to see more jobs be created also for people who are not eligible for college education. It's not for everybody. It's expensive, and I don't want my children indoctrinated or my grandchildren. I don't know about you, so we got to figure out something else.
You're here. Joe?
Well, really, the major thing on mine is when I hand people my literature, on the bottom it says the major reason why I'm running. I'll fight to keep Nevada from turning into California, and that seems to be kind of an umbrella of all of the issues. I mean, you guys have touched on it, from economic diversification to, you know, the school system, crime, safety, infrastructure. That's a big thing, because my district contains the Henderson Bowl. So we're at Interstate 11 and 215. So once they get the 215 lanes widened, then that junction becomes the thing that everybody's going to complain about, going to work and going home from work. So it's all of these things. Like you said, $1,200 before it's a crime. Thank you, Aaron Ford.
That's A.A. Ron. For
A-
those of you that key and
Well, that's what I call him, but I was being polite. If anybody's seen the Key and Peele sketch, I think it perfectly represents the current Attorney General. And then their Lieutenant Governor nominee wants to take guns away, like California. And then my opponent, is even to the left of them. So I'll tell you later about some of the things he likes to propose, but yeah, it's the perfect dichotomy. I want to keep Nevada, and I moved from California to Nevada. I want to keep Nevada. My opponent, touts that he's lived in the district all of his life, but he wants to change Nevada to California. That's the choice the voters in my district have to make. And so all of the key issues just flow from that.
I love it. That's good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, so next question is, as you pursue your race for the general election here, what is your strategy, each of you, if you could speak just real quickly about what your strategy is to win, and what are some specific ways that the people in your district or in this room can be engaged in order to help that happen? So let's start, Nan, let's start with you.
Okay, I love these two-part.
It'll come on.
I love these two-part questions. So my strategy to win is to communicate with people in ways they can actually understand. We as conservatives, we talk in facts. And if someone is not listening, or they can't process the information that you give them, you cannot win them over. So my district is 42% Latino, 40% white, and whatever that is, 18% other. It is also 40% independent, 32% Democrat, and 26% Republican. So I'm counting on the groups that, like TPA, AFP, all the different American Majority, to get out the Republican vote. And I'm counting on fellow Republicans to get the vote out. I have to win over the independents and my Latino Hispanic constituents. So my campaign strategy this time is very different. I have to get to them where they are. So if they're shopping at a Hispanic store, they need to know who I am. If they are apolitical, I need to give them communications that hit home. And sometimes it's not as direct as we want to be. We have to be more persuasive or more emotional, which we don't like to be. And so, I went through this once, and I honestly, other than filing earlier, I don't think I would have done anything differently. because I got that close, but now my opponent knows I'm coming, right? So this time, I'm gonna have to beat him in his own game. He can make up lies about me, but I have his voting record, and I'm going to expose it big time this time. I'm gonna make sure the voters know what he has and has not done. And you wanna talk about a stupid law? His first law that he got passed was composting human remains, so we didn't have to have as many cemeteries. Oh, and then he wanted to, along with the abortion thing, he wanted to, he wanted to have chiropractors work on people with traumatic brain injury. Why would you want to do that? And he's a union boss, so he doesn't have a college education, and he doesn't have a lot of common sense. So I, unfortunately, am going to have to expose him. And I think this is a problem of the Republicans. We try to be the nice guys and the logical, rational ones, and that is not a winning strategy. And by the way, if you notice, Democrats are usually one-trick ponies. They have one thing that they focus in on. And we try to be holistic and explain things. You gotta dumb it down if you wanna win in a blue district.
Good word. Come on. Yep. That's good stuff. All right. So, Joe, you're next.
Okay, so my district is a little less blue than Nan's. It's still 40% nonpartisan, 28.5% Democrat, 25% Republican. Mine, however, is whiter than the state average and even the national average, and more highly educated, and actually has a greater female population than male. So it presents a unique thing. Fortunately, coming from a Chicago Italian Democrat family, I learned how to speak to Democratic women. So that comes into play.
Two are at.
Two, actually. They're usually the ones talking at me. But it's going to be fascinating. But I think what it is the fact that even though my district is blue, it's very moderately blue. They've never gotten more than, I think the highest they've gotten in my district is 53% in any election. It's going to be interesting, and the nominee against me, as I said, very left-wing, a member of the Democratic Socialists of America. He's so far left from the district that I think that there are a large number of even Democrats in my district are still LDS. And it's just communicating with them, on issues that, that they're interested in, and showing them where my opponent is, talk about, no, he's yes on 6, no on 7. He wants a $17 at least an hour minimum wage. He wants to institute a corporate income tax. He wants, rent control in a district where I have about half the population rents. This is going to be an interesting race, but I'm looking forward to the challenge. As far as strategically, I've always been a happy warrior. I'm a Reaganite. I like putting a good foot forward. Everybody who knows me knows that I come in with a smile and good energy. And a lot of that's just what's going to communicate in the district, and I think pull it out for me.
Excellent. Thank you, Joe. All right, Denise, bring us home.
Okay, so for me, my race, I'm lucky to be in a strong Republican district. It's plus 16. So my race, though, is going to depend on Republican turnout. And so that's going to be a very, very, very big part of my race. The challenge I have is how spread out my district is. So it's like Inspirata, Anthem Highlands area, a lot of population there. And then it's also Boulder City, and it's also Laughlin, and everything on the way down. Yeah, so it's being in a lot of places. It's a great district, though. It's a really fun district. But so I'm going to be relying on signs and mailers, and I will be door knocking probably the Inspirata area, the most because that is the area that has the most population. But also like Boulder City, I'm going to be relying on the women's clubs there. It's a fantastic women's club though that's really busy, really goes out and about. And of course I'll be door knocking everywhere, but also Laughlin. Laughlin is a little challenge. It's not the biggest amount of population, but I want everybody to see me and know that I care and I'm not taking them for granted. But they don't have as many like central hubs. So that's really a door knocking campaign down there as well. So I've been going to all the clubs and all like the Lions clubs and the Chamber of Commerce out in Boulder, and just they have a round table. So I've really been trying to lay all the groundwork and have everybody know me. And then I'm going to be in my district in the Inspirada Park, like on Saturday mornings, just having regular meetings with people. So hopefully that'll be a thing that grows, and I've met some influencers we were talking about the other day that'll help publicize that kind of stuff. But it's really going to be a get out the vote campaign. So if anybody lives in any of those districts, like in Inspirada area or Boulder City, and wants to help, that would be great. Or when I get my social media really pumped up, because it's there, but it can be better. Maybe follow me and retweet my stuff, or that's the kind of help I'm going to need. Thank you.
That's excellent. That's excellent. Okay, so this is a really interesting question for me, and I think Hal and I have talked about this a lot. And we've had a number of speakers, and I think we talked about this a little bit at the beginning here, and I'm really interested to hear what you're saying. I'm going to skip over my sneaker question here in the interest of time. If we get back to it, we'll get back to it. It's more academic than actual. So the sneaker question is, what does it mean to be a conservative? All right, but just if you could just keep down the excitement. Just sometimes you're my heart. Okay, so the question that I have for you is, and I'm going to freestyle this just a little bit. The question that I have for you is, all of us in this room would love it if the balance of power in our assembly shifts red. Right? We would love to see that happen. We have had speakers, a number of them over the course of the last year, who have talked about the very real world challenges around the nearly supermajority of the blue control in our assembly, and how that affects what tables, what gets to a vote, what gets heard, what gets agenda-wise, who gets to go to the bathroom when. I mean, it's all the way down to that level. The way the rules are written in Nevada is, if you are in the power party, you control every last thing. And so in the reality of that, you guys are our best and brightest, and you are going to go, we're going to send you up there. What do you feel like your strategy is to be the most effective that you can be in that space if it stays blue? Nan's going last. She's the closer. She's the closer. Denise is. This is a dry throat moment for me.
I guess I'm starting off on this.
Joe, I feel like you're the beginning right now.
Well, one of the things is, I think all of us have, will be a little bit of the big red no button that you buy at Staples. It's going to be a significant thing because they're going to try and put all kinds of crazy legislation, and hopefully we have the governor as backup. I think we have a number of good candidates who all bring different perspectives, so depending on which of us win, if Nan and I win,
She's winning.
yeah, it's like, if she doesn't win,
We're doomed.
there won't be any Republicans in the Assembly. But whether it be myself, Erica Neely, Drew Teitelbaum, Brandon Davis, Jill Douglas, we all bring different talents. I think part of mine is also going to be trying to bring in constituent service. as a member of the legislature. I think it's an underrated thing. And that's totally nonpartisan, if you will, because you can also help out Republicans and you can help out Democratic voters in your district when they have problems with state agencies. And that's the thing. It's like giving them different avenues, different areas where they have to fight, different theaters. We're coming out one way or another. There's a certain amount of things where we have to be completely unified, but how Denise will attack a problem is different from how Nan will attack a problem, maybe different than how I'll attack a problem. I tend to be the kill 'em with kindness guy and kind of worm in. And and then all of a sudden when you get in there, then you drop the hammer. That's kind of my take.
So the Theodore Roosevelt walk softly and
Carry a big stick. TR has always been a big hero of mine. And it's a lot of that. It's a lot of getting in there and working. I'm not going up there to be performative. I'm going up there to get things done. As the governor said, get shit done.
Thank you.
Hey, the governor said it, I agree with it. That's what government is meant to do. You just want to make sure the stuff that's getting done is not bad stuff, which is what the other team does. So yeah, that's how I kind of look at it, but first and foremost, we have to be the big red no button.
I love it. Denise.
Okay, it's funny that you put this question on because actually I was like, I'm gonna have to stop talking about this because I've written this up in a lot of my speeches about how it's gonna be hard to get anything done without having enough Republicans up there. And so I was like, I've got to stop saying that, it's too negative. And now here we are talking about it again. But that is the truth. It is something that we'll have to deal with. I can't wait to hear Nan's answer because I think she has a pretty sophisticated plan. I just have the same plan, partly prayer, which is how I got into this after when Charlie Kirk was assassinated. I said, what he said was God used me, and that's going to be a part of my plan. But in addition, I'm going to be like Joe, I'm going to worm my way in. I'm just going to be, I'm going to choose some things though. I mean, basically, I'm not one of those high school clique girls. So I generally work well with people. I'm used to working in a team. And I think it's a little bit naive because I know that they are just gunning for us. But I'm hoping some of that is going to work, though. I am just going to work as a team. I'm not going to get involved in any drama. And I have decided on some legislation that I want to attack, which is bipartisan. And so, like in my speeches, I always want to go for the red meat, the fun things that I really want to get done, because there is some great model legislation that we could put into the schools. From the Victims of Communism Memorial Museum, they have a curriculum in place that we could teach the kids to be anti-fascist, blah, blah, anyway. But I've chosen to work on some insurance bills about how to make insurance more affordable, and I hope that some people will, that's pretty bipartisan. And I'm just going to, that's what I'm gonna do, try to pick some bipartisan things and try to be a good team player and be the big red no button. I mean, that is partly why we need to be up there, just to say no. And hopefully, maybe we can even get some words in to be a bit persuasive, but I think that's kind of Pollyanna of me to think that because they just have their minds made up, so.
I love the bridge issue idea, actually. I think there are places where when we can do those kinds of things, or we can find an issue that has commonality. One would think that protecting women's sports from men would be one of those. It has not, you would think, but that's, yeah. But I'm gonna be more emotional about that the next time I talk about it though, because you brought it. So, but I think, I like that very much. I think that's one of the things that's really key for us as Republicans, is to be able to actually look at the whole picture of it and go, okay, look, you gotta move some stuff, if we can. We wanna be the red no people, but if there's something that makes sense for both of us and we can at least start a conversation, conversations are where hearts change. I'm just saying. We're sending real people up there. So, all right, Nan, I feel like I need to put on Kevlar, but we're ready
Looking
for this.
forward to this.
Yeah, as I know.
All right, so, I'm beyond all that nice stuff. After spending time, I went up to Carson City 2 different times. I stayed with the sitting legislature. I have spent a lot of time with some of our Republican legislators and had very deep conversations with them. And I'm not gonna be the no guy. I'm gonna be the gal who says what everybody else on our side wants to say, but is afraid to because they have one bill they wanna get passed. I think we need to redefine success. To what you guys were talking about, when you have a team, everybody has different strengths and weaknesses. I have the experience and I have the kahunas to say, what you just said didn't make sense, or I'm gonna challenge you, and look, if I'm one and done, and I'm effective in giving our party more power, that is way more important to me than getting one bill passed. That's just how I feel.
So don't turn off your mic just yet, because you said something over here that you said you weren't gonna say up here, but I want you to say it, because I think it's important.
Remind me what I said.
About the rules.
Oh, they define the rules. They define the rules. Why is that? Because we don't stand up to them and say, you don't want me going to the bathroom? I'm going anyway. You don't want to hear me out? Then I'm not going to hear you out. Now, I'm not saying you say it like that. But look, when I was out campaigning, here's what I learned. At first, I got really mad at people when they were rude to me. And then I decided to say this out loud to the people who were rude to me. I'm sorry that you're having this issue with me. You're going to have a worse day than I am. And they would just look at me like, I can't believe you said that. I had people chase me with pans, threaten to shoot me, try to slam my hand in a door. And the more it happened, the more I looked at them and I became a mirror for them. So if you can just be quiet and show them what they're doing to you so that they feel it as well, that is way more powerful than anything you can say to them. And so it's a test of wills, but the more you do it, the easier it gets. And if we're all gonna play different roles, I can be the gal that says, hell no. What you just said didn't make sense, and I'm not gonna agree with it. And if I'm one and done, I'm one and done, but I will have made a difference.
I love it. New campaign thing is hell no.
Yeah, and I think that kind of plays into your sneaker question as well. How do you define, conservative doesn't define success as how many bills we pass or how many laws we created. That's the perfect thing.
Right. I love it. Okay, so what we're going to do at this point is, in the interest of time, I want to open up the floor for some questions. And the only thing I would ask is we've used up all of our microphones. So I will take one of these microphones out for somebody out here, and what we're going to do is I'm going to ask you to just stand up and poke your hand up in the air, and I will bring you the mic. Let's keep it tight if we can, so we can get as many questions in as possible. So if you have a question for anybody on the panel, they'll pass microphones back and forth up here to this. Oh, here comes Mark.
For each of you, what have you defined as a key gotcha against your opponent? In other words, do you have a key strategy against the person you're running in a nice way?
Tell people what he stands for.
Yeah.
Good.
Which is,
Communism.
so Marxism. Thank you. Yeah. No, he in research. This is one of the reasons I don't have a Twitter. He actually posted a like from a Red Star Book Club, I think is what it's called. They associate with the Democratic Socialists of America, which my opponent is a member of, the local chapter. In teaching kids Marxism 101. It's something he actually liked. There's so many different things, from celebrating Charlie's murder to calling Vice President Vance a Nazi to just all kinds of fun stuff. But yeah, the main thing is just tell people what he stands for. And in my district, even amongst a large percentage of Democrats, you know, that's going to get the "whoa, really" reaction. And it's just me and him on the ballot.
Sounds like Grand Platinum.
Minus, you know, at about a third the physical size and minus the Nazi tattoo.
Yeah. Maybe use that as a...
Exactly.
Does anybody else want to?
For me, my opponent couldn't be more different. He put on his website, he went to a No Kings rally. So, I mean, my race is getting out the vote for Republicans. And if I do that and touch enough nonpartisans as well, I'll be okay. So we're not really running any anti-campaign against him, but hey, No Kings, woo.
All right, for me, it's easy. So my opponent gets a lot of his campaign money from unions, which I have to be careful with, as you can well imagine. But the other place he gets a lot of money from is all the public utilities and SNWA. And guess how he votes? To make more profit for them and raise prices for our energy and our utilities.
Do we know where he lives? I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Totally kidding. Yeah. So,
We should have my opponent go knock at the door of your opponent. That's one thing he's been complaining about is public.
yeah, we'll swat him with your opponent.
We had a comment earlier about legislating morality, and I just wanted to say that if we don't legislate morality, so to speak, our opponents will certainly do it for us. And they will do it while telling us that you can't legislate morality. How will you guys handle that sort of a discussion?
I call those kinds of discussions defiant statements of purpose that have no backing to them. And the best way to deal with those kinds of things is to ask enough questions that they make themselves look stupid.
For me, it's just maximum freedom is what I would be voting for and supporting, and I just think that that is persuasive. It should be persuasive to most people, so that's what I'll be voting no on their attempts to legislate morality.
I was just going to say ditto what Nan said. It's so fun to get them caught up in an emotional feedback loop that they start making even less sense than they normally do.
Do you have a follow-up?
Another thing, when you talked about your opponent working for the unions and power companies and such, they campaign on trying to make life affordable while they do things like what you talked about that actually make life less affordable. They actually are the ones that raise the prices, but then say they're the ones that are going to lower the prices. How will we handle that? I mean, you almost have to attack them directly.
You do, it's facts. He voted for the gas tax increase. That is a legislative fact. So how is he helping to get prices down and make life affordable? What has he done? And he can't say anything. He'll have to make it up, and then I can prove that he lied. So it's pretty easy. He's a two-term incumbent, so he's got a legacy.
It's not even just your opponent, it's all the Democrats are that way.
Well, and many of them are running again. A few stepped down because they couldn't run again for that very reason. Look, a couple of the big people stepped down. Some of them are running for attorney general and other things. And hopefully their opponents now at a higher level will do the same thing because they have records. And I think that's a challenge for us, you guys. We don't have as many incumbents running as the other side does. And we have 13 seats in the legislature where there is no Republican running for office. That's 1/4 of the seats. Just think about that.
My goodness. Okay.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to touch base, a little bit on that as well. As far as with my opponent, again, it just comes down to showing what he actually believes and just going with facts as to, how universal health care will make healthcare less affordable, and more people will die. You know, as we see in the United Kingdom, you know, when you have to, you know, wait or for so long, and then like the case of this one lady who was waiting to have knee surgery, and she had to wait so long because of all of the approvals in the United Kingdom with their National Health Service, that her knee became so bad they had to amputate her leg at the knee.
Wow.
That's universal health care in a nutshell. It's those type of things. And I relish going forward to people in Henderson and telling them what everything that my opponent believes and how wrong it is for Nevada.
I have one more thing I want to add, Keith, to that. I'm a techie, so I'm going to use technology at the moment of lying to prove that whatever somebody says that isn't true, that has happened, is wrong. So hopefully they won't ban AI on the floor. They won't block it, because if they don't, I'm going to use it.
Come on. All right. Cool, here we go. One more after this, and then we have one more thing to do before we wrap up.
Well, we started off tonight talking about how only 27% was it that actually voted in the
21.7.
Yeah. So really the problem I see is a lot of these people who don't vote, they all feel like, I think, that the voting process is rigged, or it's the candidate is selected. So when you go knock on doors and you try to get people to vote, and they come up with this, well, voting doesn't matter because they already selected the person. Well, my vote doesn't matter. What do you tell these people to get them to vote and say, well, you know what, maybe your vote does matter?
Well, that's a good question, because I actually try different things. And I turn it around and I say, well, you ready to just give up and give it to them? It's what we have right now. This is what we have, and with Trump, we swamped the vote, too big to rig. So I go along that line, but I just kind of put it to them, are you ready to give up? Because that's what that's doing, and that's giving the vote to the other side. So then I try to be encouraging. So that's all I can say, really. Unless you have something better.
Well, I have a different approach again. Ask a question when you want to make a defined statement of purpose. Is voting a privilege or an obligation? They may say something else, but at least you've told them where you're coming from without telling them. Ask a question and make them think about it. Don't say, you really should vote, and yes, your vote matters, because it just goes right through them. And if you ask them a question, you get their attention. And I learned that from Sales 101.
Come on.
It's also like, why are you demonstrating?
It's time to go.
Hit the light.
Wow. There's more light.
I thought only half the lights were on. I was like,
Thank you.
It's usually
Some of us old guys are like,
They're like,
raising the
Usually
bar.
Wake up call.
I know that.
So for me, the argument again is my opponent. He was not selected by leadership or anybody. So he got voted in by a small percentage of actual voters. Looking at my district, I expect somewhere between 55 and 60% turnout in my district, because that's the historical norm for midterms. And it's actually trending down, so it might be less, but I'm planning on more just in case. But, it's partly what Nan said. Is voting, a privilege or an obligation? Driving is a privilege. Voting is a right and an obligation. And yeah, it is a duty. So,
come on.
It's simple as that, frankly. But I think for me, my wife said, you got the opponent you wanted. I said, no, the opponent you want is nobody running against you. I got the opponent I preferred, because this is the easiest dichotomy that I can run. A normal versus radical. That's really what it comes down to.
Okay. Do we have one more question? going,
Sold.
sold.
Pastor Howell has one.
What? Oh,
Pastor Howell.
anyone except for Dr. Howe.
How many, I want to know how many votes in each district you need to win? Like specifically, because once you know
Like a
that.
win number?
you don't-
And what's your assembly number again?
Assembly 12, I need about 15,000 votes, but that is assuming there's high turnout and I gotta beat the cheat. I could probably win with more like 12,500, 13,000 if the turnout's low.
So it's gotta be too big to rig again.
Yeah.
Next.
No, it's not turning. Wow. Oh, sorry. I'll forget you. Go ahead, Joel.
Well, I need about 20,000, so I don't know how, do I have more people in my district? But anyway, I need
Well,
about
you do have a
20,
last
Danielle won with 22,000 in a midterm, and she got 32,000 when she won the last time, so that's what I'm looking at. That's a lot of people.
Let's just say Denise's district is going to get shrunk the next redistricting.
Yes, it is.
Because she has Inspirata, and how many people have moved in there in the last 5 years? For me, it's, I don't have the exact to the number, but it's in the 13,000 range. It's, which, again, I have the east, most of the east end of Henderson, west of Nan's district. So I've got Sunset Station, Green Valley High, that area. So it does, again, higher income area, it's an upper middle class district, higher turnout, so.
Good.
Okay, last question. What can we as conservatives do to help you win?
I'll start this one off. If you can, if you're able to, donate. That's the first thing. $25, $50, $100. Those add up, and those are a lot of times your most effective donors, because then people see, hey, that person gave. I'll give. Even if it's $25, $50. That helps us get our message out. Secondly, if you like to volunteer, if you like to make phone calls, texts, walk precincts, that's, my wife jokes that this is Joe's 3-month, workout program. Is just walking 20-something precincts. I have a very walkable district. So if you want to burn some calories, come and join me.
I was just gonna say, if anybody is in my district and you're walking for other people as well, maybe you could take my cards with you. That would be great. But yeah, I can always use walkers since I'm so spread out all over the place. Thanks.
To that, all of that, I would add that everybody in here probably knows some people in each one of our districts. Make a phone call. Ask them to host a coffee, a get-together to introduce us to their neighbors. And it's not just their conservative neighbors, it's their neighbors who won't chop their heads off if they ask them to come over. So we need the independents. I mean, Denise doesn't, but Joe and I do. It's really important because a lot of people have left the parties. They've gone independent because they don't want to be targeted or get too many texts or whatever. So, and guess what? It benefits you too, because you get to know your neighbors better. Maybe it's a tough conversation and you cut it off. Maybe you get to know somebody better. But that is the biggest thing you can do in my district besides money and phone calls. Walking my district is very difficult. It's not a walkable district. We will do it, but it's not walkable. So unless you're like, kids back in the back, you guys want to come walk, I'll take it.
It's really interesting what you said there. I was just paying attention as you guys were talking about the makeup of your districts.
No, I'm just.
And in each one of those districts, you guys noticed that the highest number was the independents.
Yeah.
It just dwarfs, like 40, 20. It just dwarfs.
It's pretty much everywhere.
There is a distinct movement toward the independent and not being party aligned, at least not officially party aligned at that point. So
Thank you, motor voter.
yeah, right, exactly. So guys, thank you. Guys, could you And so you guys for coming out tonight. Yeah, so perfectly executed. Thank you very much. We got exactly what we needed to get from you in this space. So
Thank you
can
guys for listening. Letting us talk.
So, how many of you know Kimmy? Kimmy now. So, like this is a family affair. This TPUSA thing, you know. Kimmy and Travis, her husband, is also in the house, and they have about 250 kids, and which follow them around just like in a little crowd or whatever. So Kimmy is everywhere. She's everywhere. She's like, there used to be this thing. Now some of you are way too young to remember this, but there used to be this syndicated radio program called Chicken Man, right? And it would always start, and none of you are recognizing this at all. And it would always start with,
I remember Super Chicken.
Chicken Man, he's everywhere, he's everywhere. You know, yeah, come on, right? Hello, on Saturdays, it would always come on. Saturday morning, thank you. I now feel more validated about that. That was an emotional thing right there. I was practicing. I was practicing for my independent friends. So, what I want to do specifically, what we really want to do is, TPUSA is boss when it comes to get out the vote. These guys have dialed this thing in on a level that is so transformative that it arguably is the reason that Donald Trump is currently our president. Because of the grassroots ability that they have had doing what they do to engage that get out the vote thing. So we really want Kimmy to talk just for a little bit here as we finish up about what they're doing, how people can be involved. I'm just going to let her take this because they do this better than anybody on the planet.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. Hi, Kimmy. I am so blessed to be able to speak here. So, thank you. How many of you know right now, by show of hands, that the left has a campaign, Flip It Blue, for Henderson? Do you know how much money they're pouring into flipping Henderson blue? An awful lot of money. How many of you guys have driven past a DSA rally on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or Saturday on Eastern and Horizon Ridge where they're screaming about ICE out, Las Vegas?
Well, that's a Democratic Club and Sun City Anthem doing
And
that.
they're Henderson, they're in Las Vegas, and they're in Summerlin area too. It's a massive campaign. They're not messing around. And the DSA, I'm so glad Joe brought it up. In their handbook, their member handbook, it talks about how they have to completely destroy conservative values and have a revolution. So their members have to pay to be part of this little club, and it is a revolutionary thing that they're doing. These guys, they do not like us. They hate Christians, they hate conservatives, and they are not quiet about it. Just recently we had a Super Chase event. Carrie Buck was our guest speaker, and poor this guy, oh my gosh, what was his name? Cornejo. He crashed the Super Chase. 2 days prior, he was at an Indivisible rally talking about how there is no talking to conservatives. There is no rationalizing with conservatives. That time for conversation is gone. So why is he at our Super Chase event? Is he going to have a normal conversation? Do we have to have security at these events? What's going on? Turns out the guy wanted to argue about voter ID. He has no idea. The left does not know what voter ID means. They thought you have to have an additional ID in addition to your driver's license in order to vote. And he didn't know the voter ID is here. First of all, he's from Arizona, doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. These are the kind of people we're dealing with. Handmaids. Have you guys seen Handmaids? They went down to protest all-life pregnancy services because they provide services for women in need. They don't know what they're doing. About 10 people showed up to protest a service doing good. These people aren't messing around. So here's my ask to you, because grassroots matters. Conversations with our neighbors matter. It is a door-to-door situation. Get involved. Join a Super Chase. We have 20 Super Chases each side. Guadalupe manages the east side. Or the west side, I'm on the east side. 20 Super Chases. If we bring a neighbor and a friend. You hit 15 doors. Let's target Nan's area. Let's target Joe can win. He needs about 1,300 people to show up to beat the Democrat socialist. We need to target those areas, bring a friend, everyone knocks on 15 doors. We provide the materials for you. We teach you how to use our Turning Point Action app, which you can make phone calls. You can knock on doors, you can send a postcard. We are playing to win. Why? Because if we lose this midterm, we can kiss our Republic goodbye for the next 40 years. In my lifetime, we won't see another Republican leadership. We need to win. We are not messing around. We have to win. We need to bring the passion. Charlie Kirk talks often about what it means to be anti-fragile. And man, do you embody what it means to be anti-fragile? That means when the storm comes, you get bolder. You are stronger. When you see all the anti-ICE stuff out there, which, by the way, go to the Henderson City Council meeting, because the paid activists are there. They want to end the memorandum of understanding so that law enforcement can't do what they need to do to get these criminal illegal immigrants out. And if you don't know how bad it is in Henderson, I would love if you visited aliens.gov, biggest, nicest troll Donald Trump was ever did. Everyone thought it was going to be about aliens. They will show you how 839 criminal illegal aliens in Henderson were deported. Crimes like rape, child molestation, drug trafficking. Look it up and know the stats. These people don't know the facts. You need to know the facts. Be anti-fragile. Tell a friend, but don't just, doing this is great, but we need to be active. And that's something that we do better than anybody else. That's why Turning Point Action has the force that they have. By the time the general comes around, we'll have 175 paid ballot chasers that are friends with their neighbors. Henderson is ready to do the same. So we have an alliance partner, which I'm super, super excited. Lee's gonna come alongside. But Citizens Alliance, if you know Cliff Maloney, in Pennsylvania, their Doors Win Wars organization won that. They're hiring. So if you want to get hired, paid to do a job you're already going to do, get with me, I'll get you the information. They're hiring 60 people out here to do that job. Otherwise, volunteer, come out with me. Let's win this thing because we have to. We don't just talk about it, we be about it. And you know what? We have the armor of God. For such a time as this, we cannot just sit around and talk about it anymore. We need to love our neighbors and tell them what's going on. And man, I love the way you do that. You be a mirror, use the Socratic method. They talk themselves out of what it is they say they believe because they have nothing to stand on. Conservative values built this nation and we need to preserve it. So I would love to get every single one of you plugged in. Let's do more of these town halls. Thank you for coming tomorrow to our Moms Coalition event. Come out tomorrow for coffee with us. We're going to hear from Denise. I would love if you also came. Oh my gosh, we're doing Mothership Coffee off St. Rose. And I can text you the flyer tomorrow at 9 a.m. Come down, get equipped. We're talking about the issues. Do stuff. Bring a neighbor, bring a friend. We're going to have, again, in October, September, October, 20 super chases in Henderson. If we have 30, 40 people show up at each one, we can pull off a massive victory for every one of these people that need to be in office so they can preserve our values. That's all I got. I love you guys. God bless you. Thank you so much.